Red Bull's Max Verstappen has outpaced every Formula One driver, even Sergio Perez, who is on the same team, cannot compete with him. But how does Max manage to stay so much faster than Perez even when they are driving the same car? Max Verstappen has an unbelievable talent and is considered one of Formula One's future legends. The Dutchman has claimed 35 race wins and he has won 2 F1 World Championship titles. Max Verstappen won his first title on the final lap of the last race of the 2021 season in Abu Dhabi. After a significant controversy, the Dutchman beat Lewis Hamilton to win his first championship. However, in 2022, Verstappen's defense of his title was a breeze in comparison to the hair-raising ride it had been the year before. The Red Bull driver sealed the championship even with 4 races to spare. This is what Christian Horner had to say about the Dutch driver. Since winning that championship last year, Max has taken another step. It's, in many ways, released him, and he is driving at an incredible level. I think, given his age and experience, what we are witnessing at the moment is a drive that is completely at one with the car and in an absolute purple patch of his career. Even though Max Verstappen won the 2022 championship convincingly, he wasn't Red Bull's fastest driver at the start of the season. The 2022 season got off to a good start for Sergio Perez, who was able to help his team score the points they needed to compete against Ferrari. There were points earlier in the 2022 season when his performance level was noticeably strong against Verstappen. He qualified ahead of Verstappen in Saudi Arabia, Spain, Monaco, and Baku. After winning the Monaco Grand Prix, Perez was even talked about as a title contender. However, particularly as the season has progressed, those moments have faded away. Verstappen established himself as the fastest driver on the grid. Perez ended the season in third place, 149 points behind teammate Max Verstappen. So, how come Verstappen was way ahead of Perez? Let's start at the very beginning and first deal with the most obvious speculations. A lot of people say that Red Bull's car was designed around Max, and they used some of his former teammates as instances to back up their assertion. Despite the fact that this is partly accurate, it does not reveal the full picture. We cannot tell for certain whether or not the team based their development on Verstappen's preferences, but we are confident in asserting that the car is a better fit for him than it is for Sergio Perez. The team's chief engineer laughed off the idea that Red Bull staff had taken any conscious steps to make their vehicles less comfortable for Sergio Perez. Red Bull chief engineer Paul Monahan said, "I'm not aware that we have made a deliberate step to make the car less to his liking. Now, it may be that in deploying the tools, it's been easier for Max to adopt them. Maybe his setup has suited a bit more than Checo's. But it's not as if the car is fixed in terms of its parameters, and that Checo can't then revise the setup to say it's to his liking again. And it would be foolish of us to not then try and give Checo a method to try and get more out of it. We're in the race with both titles, and we need both cars ideally ahead of the Ferraris and the Mercedes, so we'll do everything we can to put the two of them there." The RB18 has a highly powerful front end, which enables the vehicle to be spun easily around turns. However, this comes at the expense of the back end, which slips slightly more than usual. This fits better with Max's driving style than Sergio's. Verstappen prefers to drive with a rear end that is slightly unstable and uses his natural aptitude to control the oversteer, which results in a more agile car. On the other hand, Perez is a more conservative driver who would rather have a fully predictable car at the cost of manageable understeer. Keeping this in mind, let's shift our attention to the 2022 Belgian Grand Prix. During this race, Max Verstappen not only finished ahead of drivers competing for Ferrari and Mercedes, but he also finished ahead of his own teammate. To begin, the track that hosts the Belgian Grand Prix is one that works well with the capabilities of the Red Bull car. Spa-Francorchamps is a circuit with a lot of high speed and low downforce areas. And Red Bull has enjoyed a season-long advantage over Ferrari on the straights, with the Scuderia being faster in the corners. However, even this advantage got thrown out the window at the Belgian GP. The Honda-powered crew made significant headway in the development of the underfloor, making it work a lot better in the corners and eliminating the shortfall in performance as a result. Because of this, Red Bull could completely dominate the Spa competition and finish the race faster than Scuderia did at every point on the track. Although this may shed some light on how Max was able to pass everyone else, it does not explain how he was able to win by such a significant margin over Perez. This is where their driving style comes into play. Verstappen was generally making one input for turn entry and another one for corner exit. This is in contrast to the majority of drivers who make numerous modifications to their steering throughout the bends. When looking at the telemetry data, it appears that the Dutch driver is willing to apply the brakes earlier, which results in a loss of speed when entering the bend. Because of this, it is possible to make considerably smoother inputs to the steering, which favours a better exit. Another advantage for smooth steering is tyre management, meaning Verstappen was able to keep his rubber in good condition longer and achieve a more constant race pace. According to Horner, Verstappen's ability to throw a car into a turn and deal with the repercussion is reminiscent of one of the best drivers in Formula One. He said, "I would liken it to Michael Schumacher when he drove the Benetton in the mid-90s, and there were not many teammates who could drive the car in the manner and fashion that Michael was able to. I think that Max is able to do the same with this car. Some of the car's nuances he can cope with, and they don't unsettle him. Whereas whether it was Pierre or Daniel Ricciardo on occasion, and certainly Alex, it has an effect. So that's what we're focused on as a team, trying to tidy up and reduce the car's sensitivity in that area. Perez does not believe that the RB18 has been the clearly dominating machinery at any time of the season. He attributes Verstappen's pace to the driver rather than the car. In other words, Perez believes that Verstappen's speed is due to the Dutchman's skills and not the chassis. Perez said after the Japanese GP, "Well, I think Max has had an incredible season. A lot of respect for him. I've said it before, I don't feel like Red Bull has a dominant car to have won the championship the way Max won it, so I think he definitely pulled a gear or two compared to anyone else." Perez started the season at a level much closer to Verstappen's than we saw during 2021, suggesting that with the change in regulations, Verstappen was possibly back alongside a teammate at a similar level or form for the first time since he was teammates to Daniel Ricciardo. However, Perez was unable to maintain that form against Verstappen, having previously claimed that the upgrades for the RB18 took the car away from his comfort zone and towards Verstappen's. After the Japanese GP, Perez said, "I think in the beginning I was a lot closer to him. Once he got quite comfortable with the car and I was more uncomfortable with it, he was driving at another level compared to everyone. The races that he did were sometimes incredible to watch. So yeah, a lot of respect for him, very happy for him and for my team. You know, it's a massive achievement to have won the championship here. Won 2 for Honda as well, so it's definitely a very special day for the whole team." While Perez's best performances saw him at least keep Verstappen on his toes, even if he always seemed more in control on race days, Verstappen was operating on a consistently high level throughout the campaign, punishing Ferrari for their mistakes and putting them in his pocket on a regular basis as the season rolled on. It was Verstappen that turned the title-contending RB18 into a dominant machine. What's your thought on Max Verstappen's dominance in Red Bull? Can any of his teammates ever outpace him? Let us know in the comments section below.